Hi guys, one of you asked me about my life in Europe. I haven't spoken about it on TikTok, so I'm going to let you know for the first time. I have been living in Europe since the pandemic. I moved December of 2020. And I must say it was a magical time to move out here because there was nobody at the immigration office when I got my first visa to move to Europe. So now it's 2025. It's this December. It's going to be 5 years since I moved out here. So I'm going to explain to you the reasons that I permanently left the United States. And it may trigger some of you that are very patriotic and you love your country, but love does not take away judgment. So here it goes. This is why I left the United States. First of all, I think the United States has the best PR in the world, the land of the free, the home of the brave. Well, let me tell you about the reality. There is no freedom. You work all the time. Jobs start you out. I had a job that started me out. I needed to work a whole year before I got 1 year vacation. Not 1 year, 1 week vacation. So imagine working every day for the whole year, and then you get 1 week vacation. Then eventually you get 2 weeks vacation. The United States is um, one of the first world countries that does not consider time off to be a right. It's a privilege. It's not a right. So when you compare that to people in Europe who are having 4 or 5 and 6 weeks vacation, it's kind of embarrassing. Secondly, health insurance. Health insurance. I mean, why are we still stuck in the United States? We're afraid of getting sick because we can't afford to go to the doctor. And if even if you do have health insurance, the copays, the minimums, it's ridiculous. I moved to Europe and now I have health insurance and it's like 17 euros a month that I pay or something like that. I get my teeth cleaned, everything. It's not a big drama out here. Thirdly, when I left the US, I finally felt like a person and not like a label. I actually wrote a whole book about labels. It's called Humanized, The Journey Back to You Without Labels. Suddenly out here, I'm not Latina, I'm not an immigrant, I'm not a liberal or whatever label people want to give me. It's ridiculous. I think in the United States, everyone is divided by an excessive use of labels. And you see that when you apply to a job. It's like, what race are you? I'm like, why is this even relevant? Why are you asking me what race I am to do a job about whatever? I got really tired of the endless racism and discrimination that exists in the United States. And people like to ignore it. People that don't suffer the consequences of it like to ignore it. But just because it isn't your story, it doesn't mean it's not happening. So I got really tired of, if I got a good job, somebody telling me, well, I guess they needed to hire a minority, like I didn't go to college for 6 years. Like I don't speak other languages. I'm like, no, I got the job because I'm skilled for it. So there's just this negativity that I found after living there my whole life, that I'm like, you know what? I deserve better. I deserve better. At the very least, I deserve time off. I deserve health insurance. I work hard. I deserve to be seen as a person and not as whatever label you want to give to me. Also, it's a fact, and I also wrote about it in my book, that single people without children are taxed higher than everyone else. It's a fact. You can look it up. You can look it up. I've done the research. There are 1,000 tax laws protecting married people. So what did that mean for me? Well, it meant that I was taxed higher for everything, for my car insurance, for my apartment insurance, for everything. I'm charged more for it just because I am not married. So you add all of these things together and you're like, where are we free exactly? Because I don't feel very free. I'm working 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. So when I left the United States, it was really to find the freedom that I deserved and the quality of life. because it's funny to say this, but what matters in the United States only matters in the United States. I have been here almost 5 years, and nobody, like maybe once or twice, nobody really asks you out here, hey, what do you do for a living? That's a very networking, salesy thing that happens in the US, where we have this mentality of, I need to get ahead, I need to achieve, I need to be promoted. So people are always networking to see, well, what can this person do for me? How can I get ahead by using this person? And it's a sort of transactional culture of, I will help you if you help me. Of course, I'm generalizing a bit to prove a point. And I'm also from the Washington, D.C. area where it was highly political and highly about power and getting ahead. So I'm not speaking for all Americans. But um, I found the culture to be all about achievement, getting ahead, money, the bigger house, the bigger car. And when I moved to Europe, and no one really asks me, what do you do for a living? It's more like, how are you? How's your food? Are you enjoying your food? People have dinners for 2 and 3 hours, and no one's kicking you out of the restaurant because, the restaurant wants you to be happy, and that's more important than kicking you out after 50 minutes so they can make more money. It's little things like that that add up, and I just felt like the United States is stuck in this loop of, I am Republican, you're Democrat, black, white, Latino, immigrant. The US is stuck in like this endless battle of everyone against everyone else, and it's exhausting. And I wanted to live the rest of my life having 5 and 6 weeks where I can take time off if I feel like it and I don't have to answer to anyone. I wanted to live the rest of my life knowing that if I get sick, I'm going to be taken care of. I wanted to be seen as a human being instead of, you're this label, so I'm going to put you under this box. That's an exhausting way to live. And something else that I've observed, I've never seen so many people on all kinds of medications in the US. Nothing against medications. If you need it, by all means, it improves your life if you need it. But I can't help but observe that a lot of Americans that I know are under some kind of anxiety, depression medication. And I've been nomadic for 10 years. I've traveled the world. This phenomenon is very American. Like, you don't hear it so much in other countries. People are not having these anxiety, depression episodes. And I think it's just the way that our society is set up so that you work yourself to death, and hey, but at least you're free. Listen carefully to the messages that you're getting from our government, from the media, from the politicians. Because are you free? Are you free? Because nothing is free in America. I mean, from the moment you arrive at the airport, they're charging you for that little cart to take your suitcase around. That doesn't happen in other countries and other airports either. So anyway, I hope this answers the question why I left the United States and why it was the best decision I personally have ever made. All right. I hope I don't offend anyone, but if I do, just realize that I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from what I've actually lived. And I'm sorry to tell you uh, that we were brainwashed as kids to think that we lived in the best country in the world. Yeah.